Hi there, I'm Thomas Lover, CEO and co-founder of Outdoor Masters, and today we'll be talking about how positioning is key to unlocking agentic growth. And I'm excited to have Janusz Stabik today to speak about this. Also, it will be giving access to something to help you with positioning, the Agency Accelerator Canvas, so you want to stick around. It's a strategy toolkit to get you starting with and optimizing your agency for growth. So hello, Janusz, and thank you for being here today. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a lovely day in the UK today, and as Brits are very happy when the weather's good, so we can't complain today.
Perfect. Well, I'm really glad to have you today, and thank you for taking the time. So, Janusz, in short, you are an agency growth consultant, and with other consultants, you help agencies with your consultancy, which is named Digital Agency Coach. But I think you will introduce yourself better than I can. So, can you tell me a little bit about you, your company, and how did you end up helping agencies?
Sure. So, we're an agency growth consultancy. We help agency owners with growth, and growth means different things to different people. It can be getting bigger via headcount, revenue, profitability. It can be getting smaller, getting rid of all the waste and actually having a business that supports our work-life balance and our lifestyle. I'm an ex-agency owner myself. I then became a non-executive director and then started working or doing a lot of coaching programs on behalf of Google as well across EMEA, really. So my experience is very practical. I've been there and done it. I've had many intimate relationships with agencies, so I sit on boards and work with agency owners on a one-to-one basis. But equally through the Google work that I do, I've had a very broad level of experience, I guess, with about 350 agencies globally now. So I've seen lots of themes and patterns emerge, and we help to use that with the agencies that we work with. And typically it starts with strategy. I think, as everything does, it's the most overused term in the consultancy space. I think that's the S word, but it's, we need to know where do you want to get to with your agency? And then we put a plan together and we help with we lean on the advice and the experience that we've got as coaches and consultants to help agencies execute on that plan.
Interesting, exciting, I will say then. So, well, when we were just trying to set up this talk together, we were discussing about potential topics that we could come up with, and you mentioned it makes sense to speak about positioning, since most of agencies you serve end up working on positioning in some regard. So, what do you think is that actually?
Yeah, so anybody who's seen me speak before is probably sick to death of me talking about positioning. I think it comes up time and time again. 90%, 95% of the time, some of the challenges that agency owners have are associated to positioning. We might be too busy. We can't recruit the right people. We don't know which senior leaders to recruit. We don't know where to do our marketing. We don't know how much marketing to do. We don't know how much time we should be spending. We don't know how much utilization we should have. We don't know how much gross margin we should be doing. We don't know what the next service is to go and deliver. We don't know what all this stuff that can help to accelerate our agency growth is contextual. It's if most agencies, sadly, are everything to everybody. We are the modern day artisan. We start an agency because we love doing something. We love doing PPC or SEO or design or video. And all of a sudden we're running a business, and we're running a business that's grown through us saying yes to things, saying yes to opportunity. Yeah. The client asks us for something and we say, yeah, we can do that. And then we go and figure it out. And then we're sat on this kind of small, medium-sized agency, and we do everything for everybody. And we're spinning lots of plates and fighting lots of fires. And positioning really is the one thing that helps to simplify, and simplification is at the heart of scale. It's really hard to scale a complex business. It's a hell of a lot easier to scale a simpler business. And actually, simplicity needs to exist in order for you to scale. And simplicity comes from who's our audience, who are we talking to? It's a marketing cliche, who's the persona? And I'll talk a little bit about that soon. Who are they? What is it explicitly that they're buying from us? What are we good at doing? And let's focus on that one thing, because we can't scale until we're first consistent. And it's really, really hard to be consistent when we're doing lots of different things for lots of different people.
Yeah, definitely. I can hear from you like the experience and knowledge around the topic when you speak about it. And when we consider actually positioning, it might sound like a narrow thing, a simple thing, but it can be pretty broad. And being honest, I've read also some books about it, Win Without Pitching from Blair Ernst, Agencynomics from some people in the UK, and watch quite many videos around it, not only about agency positioning, but how you position yourself as a personal brand. Because as you mentioned, sometimes you just start as an individual before actually you launch a business. And there is actually different lever that an agency can use for positioning. I mean, there is, you were talking about it, there is like the niche, maybe you are in value, but also where you're located. And all of this obviously are interconnected. But when we speak for a moment about niche and positioning, what we keep hearing is the idea that you should specialize or focus and stick to it. So do you think that the lack of focus, I mean, being a generalist, is the primary blocker for growth, I mean, in our industry?
Yes. Very, very quick answer. Absolutely, categorically. I think it's deeper than lack of focus, because what comes with lack of focus, and what most entrepreneurs and what most agency owners have, is that entrepreneurial drive and enthusiasm and energy and excitement that gets things off the ground quickly. But that comes at a cost of distraction. We keep saying yes to stuff and we never really finish anything, and we never really become awesome at anything. And then we never really become consistent, and it's really, really hard to scale. So we're really good at doing lots and lots of new different things, just not very good at being the dull, boring business owner that strives for being better and being better and being better. So is it the number one blocker? I think absolutely. Perhaps not explicitly. When we look at an agency, we might say, do you know what, they've got a bad team, or they've got the wrong types of clients, or they're not making enough money. But actually, when we dig a little deeper, what sits behind all of that is positioning. If we knew that this was the niche that we were focusing on, we'd know what teams to go and recruit. We'd know better what kind of skills to look for. So there are many reasons that hold agencies back, but I think when we dig deeper, positioning is often at the heart of many of those issues. And there's so few, in fact, no, I take that back. There are a lot of agencies that are horizontally focused, right? That are specialized in a technology, in a service. But that's not enough. That doesn't differentiate us. I work with a lot of Google Premier Partner agencies, and many of them hang their hats on their Google Premier Partner accreditation and the awards that they've won. And we feel that this makes us special. But look out into the marketplace, and there are 6,000 of them across Europe. Those odds aren't in your favor. If you're trying to grow your business, that's a 1 in 6,000 chance of getting the next sale. So yes, short answer, made a little bit longer.
I understand.
Positioning.
But wait, you definitely see where I'm going with this. Actually, you were speaking about like agency being horizontal, and I think this is. When we think about horizontal, this is one way. This is like your skill set, your competencies, right? But there is also vertically, like the industry, your audience you're talking to. And so, well, you've been helping agencies quite many years now. And so you can probably tell us about the pros and cons of, let's say, a vertical niche, vertical focus, as opposed to like a more horizontal focus.
Yeah. So either is cool if it gives you a competitive advantage. So my agency, we were an Umbraco partner. We built Umbraco-based websites. When we first started, we had horizontal focus. We were Umbraco-based. And we also had a differentiator. We were a gold partner, all right? So I think we were one of 6 gold partners globally. They were good odds. People found us and the phone rang and leads came in. By the time I left my agency, we were one of 10 gold partners in Bristol, in the city within the UK that we were based. Those aren't good odds at all. So it doesn't really matter horizontal or vertical focus. It's what are your competitors doing, and what does the marketplace look like, and how are you differentiated from it? And in my experience, within the agency space in particular, most of the horizontally focused niches have gone. It is too competitive. There are too many of them. bar Amazon. I think Amazon, an agency focusing on Amazon-based advertising, seem to be lacking in the marketplace, I think. But Google, Facebook ads, social, video, web dev, design, Squarespace, brand, whatever, you're competing against thousands, so the odds aren't in your favor. There are more, I would argue, vertical niches available for you to go and target. Now, if you don't have any experience or any credibility within that vertical niche, combine your differentiators. You don't just have to be differentiated in one way. You can be the Shopify agency for trainers in the UK. 3 differentiators, platform, geography, and product. Then you look out into the marketplace and say, hey, how many other agencies are doing this thing? There are none, or there are 2, and the market is this big. Great, that's a hell of a position to be. Combine your differentiators, look out into the marketplace. How many direct competitors? How many customers? And look at how the odds are in your favor. You don't just have to have a single positioning. We've got geography, intellectual property. Perhaps some knowledge within your agency that nobody else has, or you have a thought leader, an MVP working for you, or price, or the way you do things by sprint. Combine them and then compare yourself to the market and the opportunity and see how that looks.
Exactly. So you completely preceded me in my next questions, but this is you see where I'm going with this. This is brilliant. So well, this is what I wanted to say, that basically we as creative people and starting out with all this amazing technology, we have this shiny object syndrome, as you were trying to explain, and we tend to not focus, but we have, as a business person, also there is maybe also the business person in the room that will say, okay, but why do you want to shut some doors? Why do you want to say no to opportunities? Well, why should I focus only on this? The market is bigger if I go in this, etc. But as you explained, this is about the market size and the competition you have, and maybe also that has something to do with, I think, the perceived value. I mean, if you say you're good at everything, people will not believe you. But I don't know if you ever heard about the halo effect. It's a study that says that if you are recognized and talented for one thing, people will believe you're actually good at everything. So it also should work in the other way.
Totally. And this is a hard decision, right, to specialize. I get it. I've been there. I get the fear of missing out. Absolutely. At the moment, our market size is, if you can see on the camera, it's this big. It's everybody. And look at the size of that. That's huge. Who doesn't want a piece of that? And now I'm going down to this, and I'm going to miss out on all this stuff. The numbers don't work. The stats that sit behind successful value propositions say the contrary. There's a guy called Doug Hall. He did a piece of research on value propositions. He looked at 4,000 value propositions to determine what was it about those that were successful compared to those that weren't, and what was it that contributed to the customer buying from those successful value propositions. And he looked at this point of differentiation, something that makes you different, more specialist, more focused. And the win rate for those businesses that had that point of differentiation, specialization, was 53%. All right. Compared to the everything to everybody type businesses, the average win rate's 13%. Right. So you run the maths on that. If you get 100 leads, and you're everything to everybody, over the course of a year, you win 13 of them. Right. You can afford to get less leads because your win rate's going to increase to 53%. So you can afford to get less leads to win the same amount. But like you say, the halo effect comes into play. You don't get less leads, actually. As soon as you specialize, you get more because you're now more relevant to a bigger audience. And you still get leads from people that sit outside of your niche because of the halo effect. They still come in, they don't stop. So what happens is you don't get less leads, you get more, and you win more of them. And importantly, because I'm now the Shopify agency dealing with e-commerce sites who sell trainers in the UK, I'm now perceived to be more expert and therefore I can charge more for that service. So we don't miss out on a load of stuff. We get more leads, we convert more of them, and people pay us more for that service. But we have this irrational fear that we're just going to miss out on all this other stuff, and it's just not true.
Perfectly explained. Perfectly explained. Well, so if you're listening or watching and you heard it, you know what you have to do. And I wanted specifically to speak also about the positioning, but like geo positioning, if we speak, because well, we are all bound to like a place on Earth, definitely, and it's hard. I mean, even though you can build your business, let's say offshore, most people do it like where they are in their market originally, but. Have you seen like some kind of changes happening with COVID and the new, let's say, new work environment, like more remote, more hybrid?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think I've had 5 calls with clients per day for the past 6 months. I don't think, the topic of recruitment, talent, people, location has been a factor of every single one of those calls, 5 calls a day for 6 months. You know, it is a big thing. What do we do? It's a really divisive subject. Should we be remote first? Should we remain to have the office? Should we be hybrid? So yes, it's absolutely a thing. It's opened up the door. You know, recruitment has, the remote workforce has given us the ability now, I think, or the confidence to go and recruit a little bit further afield, because we were forced to run remotely for 8 months, and somehow we managed to succeed. And actually, most agencies managed to grow. So, you know, it wasn't as bad as we were thinking. But it's come at a cost of making employment easier for people. You know, if I'm an employee and I want to change job, I can just sign on to a different Gmail account tomorrow at my kitchen table, at my home office. So a lot more people are moving around. Salaries are increasing. Salaries are inflating. And like you say, from a focus, from a positioning perspective, it's really, really important, I think, where our employees are located and who our customers are. There's a framework that we use with my agencies who sell their clients' products and services into new markets, export-based agencies. This framework, it's called the Cage Distance Framework, and it says your likelihood of selling into a new market is associated to how close you are to that market, where close isn't just geography, it's cultural closeness, administrative closeness, so kind of government and policy, geographic closeness, and economic closeness. So the UK is geographically very far from Australia, but very similar economically, culturally, and administratively. So we would be quite successful in selling to Australia, perhaps more so than we might be to selling into a country that was close to us. So this whole comes back to positioning, right? If you're an agency that deals with export, deals with clients in close markets, it is important where your employees are located. And I guess COVID and lockdown has enabled us to recruit a more global workforce.
Okay, interesting. I think that we touched onto something with much bigger subject. We could even expand a lot about this. But yeah, that's interesting what you say about positioning and then the closeness culturally, but also administratively, etc. It's definitely interesting. And I think if you have remote employees and they are a bit scattered across regions that have cultural, let's say, a cultural relationship with you, maybe you can without having actually a physical presence, you already have somebody there, so it can be an asset for you to recruit people where you see a potential.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of agencies that we're working with at the moment who have been remote first since day one. You know, one agency comes to mind. 2 brothers. One wanted to move to Barcelona, the other one was in London. So they've had to figure out how to run a remote business from day one, and they've, you know, straight line growth since I think in 6 or 7 years, and now 90 people. And their employee retention is incredibly high because they recruit people who like that remote kind of hybrid working environment, and they retain those types of people too. You know, it really works for them and their employees.
Interesting. Okay. Going back to positioning, I had a question I wanted to ask. Well, obviously, if you are starting your agency, maybe the question is simpler. But let's say you started your agency a couple of years ago, and now it's time you identify maybe you identify there is a problem, and it's about positioning. So, well, how do you start? How do you act on this?
So I'd start with our customers. If we're an existing agency and we're struggling with growth, and let's be clear here. Let's go back a step. There's two ways to grow. We can look at the unicorn agencies, and there's many of them, and many of them don't have very unique positioning. They're full service agencies, and they do everything for everybody. They're typically a little bit older. They got ahead of the market before the agency explosion, and they got lucky as well. They made their own luck. They won the huge client that they pitched for, and they didn't lose the account manager that stole 10 clients. And they managed to be good at recruitment, and so they made a lot of luck, and they got big. But for every one of them, there are 5,000 that are struggling and treading water. So growth isn't just down to positioning. There are other ways to get there. But as an advisor, I can't help you to get lucky, or we can, but it's a very long, slow burn. It's a 3-year process to go and execute that plan. The quicker, more predictable, scalable way is this positioning piece. What's the opportunity? What's the competitive market look like? And then building the product services around that. Where do we start? I'd always look at your existing customers. Export your customers into a spreadsheet, order them by revenue, order them by profit. Look at your relationship with them. Put some other headers on that spreadsheet. Do they value what you do? Do they pay you what you're worth? Do they give you an opportunity to fix your mistakes? Are they easy to communicate with? And then look at those clients at the top of that list and look at the themes. What is it that groups them? What is it that's similar about them? And you should look at those clients and go, yeah, they are. Yes, they are easy. Those are the good ones. We're clearly doing something that's right for them, and they're right for us. And that's always the first place I would look. Second place I would look is something that's personally important to the founder. Anybody can run a business when the going is good. When we're growing and things are easy and the leads are coming in and employees want to work from us. My 10-year-old son could run that kind of business. It's really, really hard to grow a business when things are difficult. When our account director leaves and they were managing 10 of our most important relationships and we're midway through projects, and I've now got to get up and, keep those wheels turning. That's hard. And if our business isn't doing something that we believe in, that's important to us, that we enjoy, that's a miserable existence. And that's got a short lifespan. So, my own personal experience, I absolutely love what I do. Truly passionately, it feels like a hobby. I read around the subject. I go to the events. I get an amazing amount of fulfillment out of working with my clients. It gives me purpose, and I'm very passionate about it. It's therefore easy for me to do my marketing. It's easy for me to speak to my clients. It doesn't feel like work. So where would I look for our niche positioning first? I'll look in our existing client base. I'll then look at, what do I enjoy? What are we good at? What do I want to be doing more of? And that's the first place I would start. You mentioned we have a tool called the Agency Accelerator Canvas, which is I don't know if anybody's ever used the business model canvas or the value proposition canvas from Strategizer. It's a really, really simple 1-page strategy and planning document, aiming to look and identify your value proposition and your positioning, and comes with a ton of questions. So you basically answer the questions along the way, and hopefully it gets out of you where your passion and your niche positioning is. It's a super simple 1-pager. Hang it on the office wall and be a reminder of what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, interesting. I will put the link definitely in the description below. I understand that you were speaking about growth. That growth is about looking for your client first. I mean, where is the money and where is the easy money, I would say, and that your agency is already fulfilling a need very easily. And so where is the less friction? And then obviously, where is your hurt? This is so it is. So I think when you unlock obviously those two elements, you say you have a business that you could run. It's a hobby. It's like a hobby. It's easier to run, and it's the growth can be easier as well.
I mean, you mentioned about the hurt. That's a big problem. There are most agencies when they do the export of clients. We have underperformers. We have some services that we're making no money on. Web design and build at the moment the margins are really, really tight because Squarespace and Wix and Webflow and Dudo and these platforms are now taking away the bottom end of the market, and values of those projects are shrinking. Right? So it's hard to make money on. So we have services that we're losing money on, but we don't really know because agencies don't really understand finances. We're not big enough to have an FD, so kind of make some money here, we lose some money here, and hopefully we've got some profit left at the end. It's profitable by accident. We have underperforming clients. We export the clients and we have, hey, these Pareto, 20% of clients generate 80% of our revenue. But these 40% of clients at the bottom, we're breaking even or losing money on, but they're legacy, and 3 of them there were our first 3 clients, and I play golf with them on a Wednesday, but as a consequence, those clients are winning and our agency is losing. And we're losing twice. We're losing on the money, but we're opportunity cost as well. Imagine what would happen if we got rid of those clients and invested that team in the top 20%. Those guys that are profitable. Imagine the growth that could come from that. So you're absolutely right that the pains that agency has, services, employees, and clients that we're holding on to and trying to make work, but we're losing money on. A bit of tough love, I think, is often needed to free us up to focus on growth.
Okay, I get this. So there is like a need to make a breakup with this bad clients, I would say, for agencies, and to make more love with the good ones. But I think with positioning, there is maybe something else that comes into place, like how as an agency that has been here for years, like you communicate about this new positioning. Like if you refocus onto something that you believe is working better for you, how do you do it? You do a rebrand, you do a memo, you change your social communication, you remake your portfolio. What do you see? What works for your client, for agencies?
Yeah, I think the annoying answer is it depends on where you're starting from. But let's say you have a portfolio of clients within a given vertical niche, for argument's sake. You work well with law firms or car dealerships or something. We've got the case studies now to go and support that. And the thing about positioning is that if we change our brand on our website, our existing customers don't care, right? We feel like as soon as we change our positioning externally, we're going to lose our existing customers. They don't really care who you're going after now. They just care that they've got a relationship with you and you continue to deliver your service. So have confidence to change things externally. Your existing customers don't leave you. So let's say we have a ton of customers based on law firms. We speak to the law firms. We look at what are the services that they're buying from us, and if we have 5 services, they're effectively buying 3. We make a bold move into those 3. Yeah, we change the website. We change the systems, we recruit more people internally, and we start behaving more like a product-based business. We can get really, really efficient. We can achieve that hockey stick type growth that we hear about these Silicon Valley product businesses getting, because we can now scale without increasing headcount. If we know that our law firms are buying content from us, the content's very similar. We can get real scale with our content production by investing in it, focusing on it, and then selling, incremental revenue increase without increasing headcount internally. What am I saying? Start with your customers, speak with your customers, look at the services that they're buying from you, change the brand, change the website, change the messaging, change the marketing plan, go all in, because you don't lose what you've currently got. It doesn't go away. That's an irrational fear, and go all in on this new world.
I see. Well, obviously there is, if you touch onto something and you think there is something to change, then well, maybe you have to commit to it. I mean, for many entrepreneurs, I mean, change is perceived as a risk, but I think we have to remind, obviously, that without change there is no adaptation, right? And so, from your perspective, from your experience, can you say that like agencies that are on the market for let's say 5, 10, or 15 years, that change is necessary or very likely to happen?
Yeah. Yes. Not always associated to age. More often associated to size. There are certain stages that small businesses will go through, and points in which they will get stuck. And they get stuck very predictably at certain sizes, and change needs to happen then. So you imagine, it's me, I'm a PPC consultant, and I'm super profitable. I take home 100% of my revenue. And then I recruit 2 or 3 people more, maybe a project manager, and there's 5 or 6 people. We can get stuck there because we're still charging the same rates, but I've lost, a full person's worth of salary on back office administration, project management, account management. So our margin goes, and now we can't afford to recruit anybody else. And then similar things happen at 12 to 15 people, 22 people, 35, 45, 80, 100, 120. The shape of the organization and what we've needed to do to get to that point, and what we've needed to be as a leader to get us to that point, now doesn't work anymore, and we have to kind of change and rethink things. And if we don't break through those glass ceilings quickly, we can get, agencies can get stuck there for years. So we see a ton of agencies stuck between 12 to 15 people. It's a big glass ceiling, and typically because they've overly promoted the people who have been with them the longest. So they've got quite a weak senior leaders, so it's still all on the business owner, but the business is now too big for me to manage on my own. But my other senior leaders were just good technicians, but they've been here the longest, so they're now the managers, but they've got no management skills, and the business is really inefficient as a consequence. So, and again, positioning makes things easier. It makes us more profitable, makes us more efficient. It gives us a higher ROI in our marketing. If I put a marketing plan together and we're everything to everybody, where do we advertise? We advertise everywhere. We advertise everything to everybody everywhere. That's really inefficient marketing. But if we're going after this vertical, I know where those guys hang out. I know what blogs they read. I know what events they go to. I know what Facebook groups they're a member of. Cool, I will advertise there, and I now know what problems they have, so my content is super relevant, so I can do less of it and get a higher return from it. So everything becomes easiy.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a clear idea or your North Star, even if there are like obstacles in the way, like you say, obstacles that somebody that grows an agency doesn't know how to evolve from like a certain step or certain team size to another team size. If it's already working, obviously you can climb the mountain in a better fashion. Better.
And it all becomes really predictable. Everything to everybody is not predictable. I don't know what my next hire is because it kind of depends on the next client that we win, which means that we're reacting to an external change, which we can't react to quick enough because people are on 3-month notice periods. Whereas if we are niche positioning, we can plan. We know every 3 clients will buy, every client buys these services. Therefore, every 3 clients that we take on, we will need to recruit this amount more employees with these types of skills. And we can see the pipeline, and we know how many of that pipeline we're going to win because it's easy to predict our win rate. We can see when we need to recruit and grow and where we need to invest. It works itself out on a spreadsheet.
Okay. It sounds like as long as you know where you go, it's more predictable. Definitely, it makes a lot of sense. Well, there are definitely some interesting topic we could cover, and I think we could go on and on like we say like hybrid working, but also how to hire and at which step, etc. But it will be topics for other videos if we have to do this, because we have to go back to our work. I think our time will soon be up. So, Janusz, is there anything you want to add before we finish?
If you've been treading, the message is, if you've been treading water and can't break through that glass ceiling, positioning could be the answer. And I get the fear of missing out. And just to reiterate, it is the number one problem my clients face. It's the hardest decision they need to make because we're going to miss out on all this other stuff. And the reality is, you feel like you're walking through this really narrow corridor and everything's going to get really, really narrow. The reality is, as soon as you walk into that corridor, that niche corridor, everything else becomes huge. You see where you need to do your marketing. You see what content you need to write. You see who you need to recruit. You get clarity, and you don't get less leads. The leads increase. You win more of them, and the client pays more for your service. It's a true win-win.
Perfect. Nice conclusion. Okay, so just to let you know, guys, that you are watching, Janusz Stabik is available as a speaker. You can directly book him from contacting us at Adult Masters. But also, obviously, Janusz is available for consulting. If you need help to grow your agency, you can also download the Agency Accelerator Canvas to get you started. The link will be posted down below. And obviously, if you have any comments, opinion to share, don't be shy. Let's keep the conversation going. I will be watching. I will also maybe notify Janusz about it, that there are some questions. And yeah, let us know if there is any topic you want to cover. I'm glad to hear. If you like this kind of content, well, thumbs up helps, subscribe. Anyway, thanks for watching and take care, guys. See you next time. See you, Janusz.
Thank you.